Numerous piping systems require the pipe to be sloped. For example, sanitary, storm, and condensate piping all need to be sloped for the system to work properly. In Revit, you can slope piping as you create each pipe segment, or you can slope the piping after it has been created. On the Systems ribbon, in the Plumbing and Piping panel, I'll click Pipe to start the Pipe tool. In the Sloped Piping panel of the Contextual ribbon, you can control the slope when creating the pipe. First, choose Slope Up or Slope Down. I'll choose Slope Up. Then you can specify the slope value. This is actually a drop-down with slope values already defined. The slope values are determined by the slope settings in the project units. In an imperial file, the slope is typically set to rise per 12 inches, whereas the slope in a metric file is typically set to percentage. This setting can be adjusted in the project units dialog, which can be accessed from the Manage ribbon in the Settings panel. I'll choose 1/8 inch per 12 inches or 1% in the metric file. Also, realize that there is a Show Slope Tooltip toggle. I will toggle this option on. The remaining settings in the Contextual ribbon and Options bar remain the same as when creating piping normally. Moving into the Drawing area, I'll click to enter the pipe start point. When I do, a tooltip appears that shows me the start offset, current offset, and the slope. So if you are creating piping above a ceiling, you can watch the current offset value to make sure that you do not hit the bottom of the structure. I'll move the cursor to the right and then click to enter the pipe endpoint. Then I'll press Escape once to end that segment. Next, I'll change the slope value in the Contextual ribbon to 1/2 inch per 12 inches, or 4% in the metric file. Then I'll create a pipe segment above the previous segment and press Escape once to end that segment. Lastly, I'll click Slope Off in the Contextual ribbon and create another pipe segment below the previous two. Then I'll click Modify to end the command. Now I'll open the South Mechanical Elevation view to see the results. Here, we can see the varying angles of slope. I'll select the pipe segment without any slope. Notice that in the Edit panel of the Contextual ribbon, there is a Slope tool. I'll click Slope. When I do, the ribbon changes to the Slope Editor Contextual ribbon. In the Slope panel, I can change the value of the slope and also modify the slope control point from which the pipe will be sloped by simply clicking the button. When I do, the red arrow in the drawing area moves to a new location to represent the reference endpoint each time I click. With the slope control point at the left end of the pipe segment, I'll change the slope value to 1/4 inch per 12 inches, or 2% in the metric file. Then I'll click Finish to slope the pipe. With the pipe selected, pay attention to the temporary slope value that appears near the center of the pipe. You can click the value to make it active, and then change the slope value. So as you can see, sloping pipe is not difficult. Remember that you can slope the pipe while you are creating each segment, or afterwards once the piping has already been created.